Hello everyone, welcome back from break. It's time to get started on Unit 4. So Unit 4 is going to be all about energy, and it's all about the energy that we need for life to exist. So we're going to start by talking about how plants and animals obtain and use energy. And if you're thinking we've already talked about this, you're right. We're just about to get a little bit more detailed about it. So your learning target today is I can explain how plants and animals obtain and use energy. So let's review what we learned in Unit 3. So we learned that carbohydrates and lipids give energy to living organisms. So remember, carbs were short-term energy, lipids were long-term energy. And we learned that enzymes break apart the bonds in the carbohydrates and lipids to release energy. So we told you all that, but the truth is there's a little bit more to that story. And it goes like this. After or when your enzymes are breaking apart that energy, they actually are turning it into something called ATP. So your cells turn the bonds of carbs and lipids into ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. You don't have to know that or spell that, but you should be able to recognize that. ATP is the form of energy used by all living cells, and it looks like this. This is adenosine, and this is the triphosphate because there's 3 phosphorus groups. So this is the form of energy that your cells use. So they convert the energy from your food into this thing called ATP. We're going to do a whole learning target about this, but we want you to understand that ATP is the energy used by all cells of all living things, including plants, animals, bacteria, fungi. Doesn't matter, they all use ATP. So now we're going to talk about how energy, we're backing out now looking at it on a bigger picture, how energy moves through the ecosystem. So the energy starts here with the sun. Remember, all the energy of our Earth comes from the sun. And the sun gives us light energy, and plants and algae and cyanobacteria, they are producers. So here's some trees. They're producers, and what they do is they produce energy for other things to eat. So the sun gives our planet energy, and plants turn it into, or the producers turn it into food. And that food is then consumed or eaten by the consumers. So here's a deer, which would consume the tree to get the energy in the food. Then that deer will die, the trees will die, all producers and consumers eventually die, and the decomposers eat them, and they take the food from the producers and the consumers and they break it down and release that energy as heat and break it down into carbon dioxide and water, which are eventually again used by the producers. So the big thing you need to know here are the 3 vocabulary words. We're going to get into those, and then also you need to know that all the energy on the earth comes from the sun. So all of Earth's energy comes originally from the sun. Consumers don't get energy from the sun, neither do the decomposers, but the producers get their energy from the sun. And they pass on that energy through food to the consumers and the decomposers. So let's talk about the producers. Here we have the header or the autotrophs. So producers are auto, meaning self energy. So they get energy from themselves. So here's the definition of a producer or an autotroph. It's a living organism that makes their own energy from sunlight through the process of photosynthesis. So that could be trees, it could be grass, it could be algae, it could be something called phytoplankton. So it could be plants, it could be these things called phytoplankton, it could be bacteria. As long as they are taking energy from the sun and turning it into food, that is an example of a producer. Anything that can't make its own energy from the sun is not a producer. So here we have consumers, and that's us. So that's humans, for example. They are heterotrophs. So these are people, or these are animals or other living things that need to get their energy. They must obtain their energy by eating or consuming other organisms. So as people, you know, we can eat plants and we can also eat animals. Dogs, fish, alligators, birds, they all eat something to give them energy. They can't just sit out in the sun and get energy. Decomposers. So after the plants, animals, bacteria, after everything dies, it is eventually broken down by a decomposer. They obtain their energy by breaking down the cells of dead organisms. So here's an example of fungi growing on a dead tree. And here's a picture of bacteria. Different types of bacteria will also break down dead organisms to get their energy. And that is it for our notes for 4.1. So if you have any questions, email your teacher or talk to your teacher. Oops, but that is all there is for this learning target. Thanks.